All right. Hello, everyone. We are going to go ahead and get started. My name is Rohit Kulkarni. I'm the internet analyst here at Roth Capital Partners. Very excited to kick off our third annual AdTech Summit at Roth. And we have six sessions this week. And the inaugural session is with Zvika at Innovid. And appropriately so, they are in one of the fastest growing themes in internet advertising. It's connected TV, and they were smart enough to get the ticker called as CTV. The stock is up. It's 36% year to date, about 73% in the last 12 months. So clearly, the Zvika and his team is executing well. Still, in my opinion, still long ways to go as far as
Yeah, there's a lot
the
of room
potential,
to do
as far as
more.
the potential of the company. So, given they are in the fastest growing theme on internet advertising, the plan here is we have about 40 minutes, and I want to divide the conversation in four parts. I just want to talk about macro and kind of cyclical drivers of internet advertising. Where are we? Last 4 years haven't been normal, and 4 years ago, obviously, we faced an extremely abnormal event. So we'll talk about macro cyclical drivers, quadrennial drivers, elections, and all those kinds of things in 10 minutes if we can. Then we'll also talk about secular growth drivers, as I said, CTV is a significant secular growth driver, and then we'll underlying that, we'll talk about brand, direct response, we'll talk about social search and open internet and whatnot, like what is happening beneath the surface as far as secular growth is concerned. No tech talk with no CEO will be complete without AI. So we'll talk for 10 minutes
Yeah,
about AI and how Zvika thinks AI is affecting his company, broader ecosystem, and the advertisers. And finally, we'll talk about cookies. They are going away. I know perhaps Innovid is not directly impacted, but I'm sure there are going to be ripple effects like second, third, fourth order impact as something that the entire internet was created on, which is cookies, last 25 years, and suddenly they're going to go away in the next couple of years. There is going to be some long-term impact that we aren't thinking about creatively. See, we'll pick Zvika's brain on how to think about that. So that's the plan. If you have any questions, please send them via chat or send them via email. Also, just to keep it entertaining, I'm going to launch a poll right now. Everyone who's looking at the Zoom app, people who have dialed in may not see this, but people who are using the Zoom app, you'll see a poll pop up. If you can take the poll, I'm going to collate all poll results across all six sessions, and then we'll share what the collective wisdom is of the people in the crowd. So already we are seeing some responses trickle in, so that's a nice thing. So I know slightly long-winded
Oh,
intro
I
to speak.
cannot. It says host and panelist after I broke my computer here trying to click.
Oh my goodness.
Turns out I
Okay, I need
cannot
to
vote.
change some settings of the poll,
No,
but
no,
I'll
no, don't
ask
worry
those three
about it.
questions to you, Zvika, and I'll record them. Don't worry
Yes.
about it. So, I guess, anyhow, so maybe a quick 60, 75 seconds introduction about what problem are you hoping to solve on internet advertising at Innovid, and then we'll
Yep.
go into the four topics I mentioned.
Sure. Basically, at the heart of Innovid is the massive transition between linear television, broadcast television, right? It's been around for 100 years, to connected television, to a digital medium. It's 200 billion worth of media dollars, advertising dollars that are shifting as the audience are shifting. The dollars are shifting also. I'm sure we'll talk a lot about this. And IP delivered TV and advertising presents opportunities for improved experience, better experience, but also for the viewers, of course, but also opportunities and challenges for advertisers. So the largest brands in the world, the auto manufacturers, CPG, pharma, they used to do things in a certain way for the last 80 years, and the new medium that presents, again, opportunities such as interactivity, personalization, data, but also challenges because it's different than what everybody's been used to doing for many, many, many years. And understanding, and for a long time, converged will be converged TV, right? Because it's going to be connected TV on the IP, but it's still linear, still a big part of it. So let's say, I don't know, 5, 10 years, 5, 6, 7 years, it's two worlds, right? And you want to keep, if you're a large marketer, you want to take advantage of the opportunities in CTV, but ideally not paying pricing friction and complexity while you're also doing the linear side. So our our mission from that perspective is to provide the technology, again, that will take advantage of the opportunity and also mitigate the challenges for the largest brands in the world of this transition. As a vision, maybe it's just one word, because above that, there's like, as a founder, in this division of keeping television open to everybody and controlled by no one. And the open to everybody is ad-based. I think we know that ad-based TV won.
Mm-hmm.
That wasn't the case 5 years ago. People were not sure. So
Yep.
now everybody's sure, including the CEO of Netflix, that TV advertising is here to stay in order to keep the TV open and accessible by everybody in the world. The other part is controlled by no one, we can get to later, but basically being, making sure it's kind of democratized and open and fragmented in a good way, and to make sure it doesn't fall in the hands of like a single big tech giant. So that's the vision beyond, the stuff we built.
Okay. Oh, love it, love it. And just for people who are very new to the story, Zvika, what's your business model? Is it based on a percentage of ad spend, or is this some other,
No,
like
it's
a
a
complete
software, it's a
software
software.
model?
Yeah, it's a software model. I mean, as opposed to most of the companies, the
Mm-hmm.
public companies, but also advertising technology companies who charge a percentage of media spend. So the money kind of flows to them and they take 5%, 10%, 15, even 20%. Innovid is built as a software, enterprise software company. So more
Mm-hmm.
like marketing technology rather than ed tech. If you think about companies like Marketo or even Salesforce,
Mm-hmm.
HubSpot, it's basically saying we're selling software to the largest companies in the world, largest brands. And so we're charging volume, like a fixed volume fee. So it's usage based.
Okay.
I think, the more you use it, the more you pay. But so it basically the amount of ads you're running multiplied by a certain fixed rate. To give you a sense, we're running now an average 1.3 billion TV ads a day. That's like 600 years of TV ads streamed every day from our
Wow.
servers.
Okay.
So,
Okay. Fantastic.
but
I
still,
would love
still,
to.
I think we calculate like 9 trillion a year. So we do a half a billion, sorry, not half a billion, half a trillion a year. There's 9 trillion in television. So there's still a lot more room to grow. Thank God.
Awesome, fantastic. I love the secular growth opportunity, the way you framed. I
Yep.
haven't heard very many people frame it this way, but I love it. Actually, I guess just in the four topics, the first kind of would love to get your sense on just the visibility in your business.
Yep.
Last couple of years, I've heard a lot of ad execs talk about kind of diminished visibility, uncertainty, and various different factors affecting their confidence in the outlook and whatnot. So
Yep.
maybe just on a year-to-date basis, how would you characterize the visibility in your business, your advertiser sentiment, versus where we were maybe at the end of 23?
Yes. Um, few things I would say on the macro, beyond the, pre-COVID, post-COVID, just, the nature of television, if we put aside, the last couple of years, the television, since it's been around 80, 100 years, TV advertising, been really, so these are like, and we're talking 200 billions, right? So these are not digitally transacted in real time, etc. These deals used to be done, still done once a year, most of them. The upfronts, you look at shows and pilots of, Seinfeld and Friends, and if you decide the brands like them, so all these concept of how these things are done, and still a lot of it is transacted that way. The reason I'm saying that, in the beginning of the year, you set a budget, and then based on the type of brand you are, if you're an auto manufacturer, CPG, a retailer, you have a schedule within the year of how you're going to spend your money around back to school, March Madness, you name it. And so pre-COVID, after February, like in between January, February, we will know how the year will end from our
Okay.
customer base because they will always on and with Innovid. We have a contract with them. They run with us exclusively the entire year. So we will know for each brand how will they behave by the end of the year. All of this went out of the window. So this is how television used to be.
Yeah.
So this is how, the predictability, how predictable it was. Um, Post-COVID, everything went outside of the window. The good news, CTV consumption accelerated dramatically during COVID. So the numbers went up and to the right. And I would say another important data point that since then and until now, for no quarter, CTV ad volume went down. There was not a single quarter, including Q2 in 2020, that everything went down 40, 50%. CTV was still up year over year in Q2 of COVID. So there was not as far as from what we see, there was not a single quarter where CTV shrunk ad spend.
Hmm.
Now, we want to see 30% and sometimes we'll grow 10%, but it's always growing. So that's another. In terms of visibility, absolutely things changed. I think, of course, with COVID, but then you would see phenomena that brands that used to plan for the entire year will plan, and then mid-year will suddenly make a change, right? It started with COVID, then it was supply constraints, chips, cars, inventory, and now it's the economy. So I think through those years, for what through life challenges, the marketers have learned and have now the capability to move forward and then contract, right? Does it make advertising industry happier? No, right? So that's the visibility you talked about. It's less the visibility as much as stability, right? So there's visibility and there's stability.
Yep.
Um, I would say now we're in a phase where in 2023, end of 22, we did not have stability. Forget visibility. It will just boop, so something will happen suddenly,
Yep.
right?
Yep.
Since then, we're seeing much more stability. Whoever's spending more aggressively year over year, they spend aggressively, and those who cut back are cutting back. So we will absolutely see verticals that spend less year over year, and down even 10, 20%, and some that are up 30, 40, 50%. From our perspective, we see CPG, auto, and pharma is up year over year, year to date, and telecom and finance down. And these are large TV advertisers. So
Yeah.
that's what we're seeing. So not a lot of, not panicking, not
Yep.
things changing overnight to what just happened, but a mixed, definitely
Yep.
mixed bag.
Okay. I think I like the way you characterize all of it.
Thank you.
Stability instead of um, kind of
Yeah.
improving
So
dynamic
we can,
as such.
yeah, it's
I guess in terms of just kind of investors have thought about all the sectors and markets that are very interest rate sensitive or inflation sensitive as such. I can list out financial services, autos, real estate, likes like that, and also anything that has extreme inflation pressures directly manifest into their cost
Yep.
structure. Um, have you seen any stable behavior in those categories? Like, then there are obviously telco and tech, which are different, but like in financial services, auto, real estate, any specific call outs that you would have?
Um, not more than what I shared already. I would say that also we are seeing cases where it's not the entire vertical acting the same. I
Yeah.
mean, like auto, I would say we have probably definitely more than half, I would say
Hmm.
some 60, 75% of the auto industry in the US is running through us. You know, TV ads on CTV for the auto industry. And sometimes you'll see some that lean. Usually the vertical works together. Like usually either they're all in or they're all out. In this case, what I'm saying, our portfolio of customers can also influence the trends. And my recommendation when investors talk to me is like listen to this is macroeconomics, has nothing to
Yeah.
do with us. And you would hear on earning calls for, a CPG brand or an auto brand, advertising is such a big line item. They will talk about, the CFOs will talk about, their marketing dollars, and then they will give indications of their plans.
Yep. Okay. I guess another kind of cyclical catalyst, I would say, is we are in a leap year, so there's a lot of kind of incremental spend that gets earmarked for elections
Yes.
or kind of Summer Olympics or some other kind of events like that. How should we think about impact of those on Innovid? Does that matter, or is that kind of shifting water from one bucket to another?
Yeah, so I would a few things I would say. Regardless of Innovid, since we've been around 15, 16 years, so we've seen we've seen. I feel old a little bit. We've seen again, though we've seen COVID and we've seen so there's a lot of disruptors and changes, but overall, in an election year and Olympics, there's definitely a change. So remember when I told you if I put the economy aside before COVID, like in a normal year, um, it's interesting. Usually you'll see, definitely with elections, basically what it means, there's a massive amount of demand that coming in a very short time frame with a very targeted audience, which basically creates increased so you have new money coming in, it's constrained supply still. So
Hmm.
prices would go up. And since the marketers, then you'll see marketers potentially pulling back and saying they don't want to compete. If you can sell this for a certain, election spot uh, for a higher price, maybe it's not the best time for them to spend. So that's one thing. And the second, especially as the year go by, the election's getting more and more toxic. Some brands, anyway, prefer to spend less, not to go all in. So usually for the large marketers, you'll see less ads during that time period. In addition, with Olympics, um, some brands spend a lot of money on sponsorships, like they'll shift money to sponsorships and different type of engagements rather than just TV ads. So they may shift budgets outside of TV ad. I mean, it's still television because it will be FIFA and Olympics and everything, but it will be not like a standard TV ad. So that's from our perspective, that's not it's something that we'll see less volume rather than more.
Okay.
Um,
Okay.
so that's for us, and I would say in general to brand advertising, um, you'll see slightly less spend during elections.
Okay. Okay. Cool. That's the macro cyclical drivers
Yes,
topic. The second topic is kind of more important, is the secular growth that we are seeing in the industry,
yes,
and particularly connected TV that you operate in.
yes.
At a big picture, when you see demand grow on your platform, can you talk through where is that demand coming from? Is it new characters coming on to internet advertising, existing characters spending more, or just talk about where is that demand coming from right
Sure.
now?
So a few things. One is the real generation of demand are its user behavior. It's the audience.
Hmm.
Right? So way before, it's actually I would argue it's way less about the spend, and demand and investment from brands, because in a way they're following the eyeballs, they're following the audience, right? And it's an existing money. So if you look at the overall pie of 200 billion in the US, whatever, 70 billion such, don't quote me on the exact number of the entire pie, what portion goes to CTVs is depending on the audience, where the audience is, right? So think about you or myself. We have, let's say, 80-inch TV in our living room. It's the same household, same family, a lot of times same content, same TV ads. The difference is if you're consuming through an app on your CTV or through cable, but basically it's that's the difference. So the budget is set, and the more household that connect the TV and consume more hours a day on ad-based content on connected television, that's by far the driver of spend, right? And that's the reason we never saw a drop year over year, because the consumption keeps going up and to the right. So the key macro drivers to that um, will be, clearly time spent on ad-based CTV, and we see there all the platforms like Netflix and Amazon Prime and Disney, all HBO, all adding ad-based um, programs, subscription programs at a reduced price. So that generates more inventory, more time spent on Netflix and on Disney with ads. So it's more inventory. The second huge transition is sports. Kind of sports are the last, live news and sports, especially sports, are kind of the last frontier. And when that's being negotiated and transformed to connected TV, that creates massive migration. So that's in terms of time spent on ad-based content, right? Then the money needs to follow, right? And usually it's automatic, usually with a slight lag, but it's not, from my perspective on the macro, if you're an auto manufacturer, you don't sit there and go, should I run CTV or not? You're buying NBC, you're buying Disney. Part of it is on CTV, so part of it will be delivered on CTV. This is the big dollars, the CPGs, the auto, the large TV spenders. They follow the audience. They're everywhere. They have to be, when you run a national ad for Verizon or you need to, or Toyota, you need to be everywhere. I would say that because of the economy, when we spoke earlier, there is a gap between time spent on TV ad-based content and the spend. They're not the same level. There is a gap. There's more time available than actually is being used. So there's definitely room for, I would say, a rapid growth when the economy will recover until they'll catch to each other.
Okay, okay. And I guess in terms of the objectives that these advertisers are trying to
Yeah.
kind of meet when they're increasing spend on CTV, is it still like, are they trying to replicate what they have been used to doing on regular TV, which is mostly reach and frequency based, or are they slowly getting into more internety advertising, which is like more middle and
Yeah.
bottom funnel?
I would say, when you say trying to replicate, it's not trying, it's the easiest thing to do. It's the default, right?
Yeah.
That's the beauty of it from a lot of advertiser perspective. It's like, okay, we'll just do the same thing, right? I mean, Innovid started 16 years ago in innovation and video. It's like, oh my God, we can do all these amazing things. We can do interactivity, we can do personalization, we can better target, better measure. That was 16 years ago, and still we're in the early days of using really advanced technologies for connected TV. So the first thing, the default is exactly as I said before, the audience to this sports, channel, or the audience for this Netflix, the audience is not, Netflix is not a good example for, broadcast for NBC is moving from here to here, the money follows. But it's the exact same ad, the exact same targeting, the exact same show. It's just the money moved from one bucket to another bucket with not too much planning and too much anything. Now you're saying, well, you go to a marketer or an agency, you're saying you're already spending $50 million, $100 million in this great medium. How about, spicing, amping up, like how about more personalization, more targeting, more interactivity? And we absolutely see increased in the adoption of that, of this type of technology, still the early days. And I would say these are the big dollars. Now, CTV also allows, because it's a lower barrier to entry, right? So if you want, you can go on YouTube with $5,000 or $10,000 and just YouTube, not Innovid, not programmatic platforms, and say, hi, I have my pizzeria. You can sometimes you see these awkward ads, you can move from a mega
Yep.
brand into a plumber in your neighborhood. So yeah, you can put a plumbing ad, a video ad of you self talking, buy media for $10,000, target a certain region, and somebody will watch it on CTV, and you're like, oh my God, he's my local plumber. So that is clearly CTV opens, going to democratizes television. Everybody can run ads on television. Still, the creative is very expensive to produce. The media is still very expensive, especially if you target. So the big dollar, if you're asking from a macro perspective, it's by far still the large TV advertisers that are really driving. But you will definitely see more direct to consumer, specific like app installs, direct to consumer brands and stuff like
Uh,
that. You will definitely see more and more of them. But if you look at big picture, they're not
Really?
the real massive
Okay.
drivers. They could be for a specific startup or specific platform. On a macro level, they're not really driving scaled growth.
Okay. Okay.
Maybe down the road, but not
Okay.
now.
Maybe because again, this could be interesting conversation a year from now as well. Because that's like from an investor perspective, that's where kind of the small plumber or the small pizzeria example that you mentioned,
Yes.
that's kind of the holy grail for kind of Facebook and Google right now. Like that's where they have made
Yep.
most of their money. They don't make most of their money from Ferrari or BMW
Yes.
advertising on their website,
Yes.
right? So if CTV and platforms like yourself are able to facilitate that plumber or pizzeria use
Yep.
case, then there could be some level of market share or kind of allocation shift from the Googles and the Facebooks to other ways of doing CTV. Is there, like, I don't mean to put words in your mouth. Are you seeing any use cases like
So,
that emerge more faster?
we less we're since we're mostly a video platform and a TV platform, right? So we don't get to see a lot of Facebook, TikTok, search type ads. It is true to assume that performance-driven advertisers, right, that don't usually spend a lot of money on branding, because their TV spots are again expensive to produce, just the creative itself.
Hmm.
Search ad, banner ad, social ads, you can change 5 times a day. A TV ad takes more time to produce at this point, and it's expensive. And again, the media is expensive, and it's harder to measure, right? And if it's lots, CTV ads mostly are not clickable. So if you come to a CFO of a D2C, like cost per click machine, organization, a marketing organization that works on performance, it will be hard to justify TV advertising. So I would say that it's again too soon at this point. It would absolutely happen. Absolutely.
Okay. Okay.
The mechanics of creating the ad quickly, running multiple versions. By the way, the tech exists, but between tech exists and mass scaled adoption, there is and price reduction and efficiency, there's still time. But I definitely see a time where you can, we'll get to talking about AI and Gen AI, right? But
Yep.
the cost of creating, amazing or definitely fascinating creative has gone down dramatically. And, I think it's down to ease of use and measurement that you will then see more and more, to your point, kind of a longer tail.
Hmm.
Just to give you a sense of number, if the top 200 advertisers in the US, TV advertisers represent about 75% of the spend, right? In search, you're talking millions of
Yep.
advertisers, hundreds of millions. Here we're talking 200 representing the bulk of the budget.
Yep.
It was kind of like a members club,
Yeah.
if you think about it, what it takes to run television.
Yeah. Yeah. I know. Just the shift towards smaller advertisers will create like a significant hedge, macro hedge for companies like yours,
Yeah.
open up to a much bigger potential spend bucket,
Yep.
and then kind of just lower kind of the exposure towards large advertisers that tend to be very, very macro driven as such.
Yes.
Um, I guess just changing topics, we have about 15, maybe 18 minutes stop. Wanted to
Oh, time is flying.
on AI, I
I'll
guess two
make
or three.
shorter answers. I'll do my best.
No, 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 you're doing great. Um, two or three subtopics on AI. I guess just at a high level, you've been around in the industry, and like the question here is, in a couple of years, more than 50-60% of content on the internet may be AI created or AI augmented.
Yeah.
So the perhaps not so much for CTV. CTV may be a few years behind.
Yeah.
Um, but still, like how does that affect Innovid and just the overall industry, or is it too soon to talk about this?
So AI generated content on CTV, yeah, it's way too soon, I think.
Okay.
The definitely for ad creation, right? And I know it wasn't a question for ad
Yep.
creation. Uh, 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 Absolutely, we will see, the speed that the technology and innovation around image generation, video generation, voice generation, annotation, translation, copyright. These are things that we already use in our technology, and it's mind blowing. Somebody who's started coding in 1982, uh,
Hmm.
I was 10 years old. Uh, the things like every few months, I wake up to a new technology that just blows my mind. So really cool stuff on the content side. I don't think, as you said, it's really relevant. Look at the cost of, Amazon, Netflix, Disney, NBC, Comcast. The investment in content is in the billions and billions of, dollars, and Emmy award winning shows, just the amount of content there. Um, so I don't see that changing fast. Yeah, that's on the
Okay.
AI as content.
Okay. And I guess just what are you doing with AI as a tech
Yes.
company in terms of tools or new products or kind of innovations that you think that you are investing in for your customers?
Yes. First, I would say things that we're doing, we're having fun with AI. I mean, it's an innovative company, and also kind of, I would say, creative driven. I mean, obviously, we have measurement products, we have ad servers, we have optimizations. At the core, television is about an experience, the human experience of, sound, sight, motions, etc. So
Hmm.
that's at the end of the day, you're delivering a Super Bowl ad or a branding ad for a car. It is working on all senses versus a search ad or a Facebook ad, right? So the idea that we can use generative AI to create interesting, personalized, creative at scale, the fact that we can
Hmm.
actually put this, science fiction technologies to work today is a lot of fun, right? At the heart, so there are several areas in the platforms, three areas that we apply AI. One is clearly on the creative side. And by the way, we don't build our own side optimize. We don't build our own AI models, like we're
Hmm.
not open AI. But we're implementing, so we're allowing our customers to use our system and our workflow to then run external engines. So for an example, if you want to create a personalized campaign, you can create a certain template for a TV ad, but then certain assets, like a certain image, the copy of the text, the voiceover, the copy could use one, ChatGPT. The then rendering of the audio itself can use a different engine, and then there's translation engine that you can translate to different language and different accents. That is working on a production ready level, right? I haven't seen an ad that the entire ad is AI generated. I'm sure there's one or two of them, but
Yep.
people will notice it in a second. But the voiceover, some of the assets, and the
Yeah.
text itself can be. So that's on the creative. Second part, we launched a product called Harmony, which
Yeah.
optimizes, because we're the ad server, we have a lot of data. AI runs on data. The more data you have, the more, learnings you can have. And then, so I definitely see a world where there'll be less people. You see what happens, you make decisions, and then activate those decisions. In CTV, definitely in television, it's close to impossible. In CTV, it's also usually a pretty slow cycle of days.
Hmm.
Now we're changing it to real time. That's very interesting. And the last piece is certain workflow. There's a lot of still inefficiencies in the advertising world. If fax still was around, I would say they will use fax. A lot of this still done in papers and emails,
Yep.
sending tags around. So definitely I see using automation, AI tools to automate some manual labor, and there's still a lot of manual labor in this industry.
Yeah. I guess on the Harmony launch, as in,
Yes.
to what extent is there, like you talked about, kind of it is something to help streamline a lot of processes,
Mm.
and so which part of kind of the advertising CTV workflows you think
Yes.
can AI disrupt the most in the next 6 months or 12 months?
I would say, on a high level
Is
before
it
I go,
buying? Is it like the supply side, demand side?
yeah,
Is it
yeah, there's something
targeting,
called,
measurement?
yeah, people refer to this as SPO, supply path optimization.
Uh-huh.
So I would say that's the most, putting the word, AI is a big word, so I want to be
Yep, yep.
cautious. A
Yeah,
lot of people overuse it. So I'll be cautious with that for if you allow me for a second. But I would
yeah.
say there's an area that's ripe for disruption or efficiency, specifically for CTV, and that's the SPO, supply path optimization. The reason for this is, remember we said there's a finite number of about 200 advertisers that before you go to the world you imagine where there's millions of the plumbers, and there's like still a massive amount of money is highly concentrated of 200 top 200 advertisers, right? The
Mhm.
other side that we didn't get to is that the sellers, the most of the inventory comes from 12 publishers, right? You can literally, all the fingers
Wow.
in your body measure the, kind of, the NBC, CBS, all the large, networks, the Roku, Vizio, Samsung, Tubi, Netflix, Amazon, you know. So 12, 14 of them represent about 70, 80% of the quality inventory for the bulk of the inventory. It's not
Hmm.
thousands of websites. It's not, when you say open web, there's like millions of sites and millions of advertisers and of course billions of viewers. CTV is not the case, right? Having said that, when the money shifted from linear to CTV, was, oh, this is IP, it's digital. Let's use the same programmatic platform, SSPs, DSPs, the fees, all the data fees and RTB and yada yada, because that was like the natural transition. I
Yeah.
believe the industry is waking up to say, wait a sec, it's a small group of people buying media for a lot of money from a small group of sellers, right? There's a lot. If you apply all this open web technology in the middle, you're polluting the planet because you're jumping through like 12 servers before you serve it, and there's a delay. But also there's minimum 10% up to 30% quote unquote tax, ad tech
Yeah.
tax, paying all these vendors.
Hmm.
So there is an awakening in the industry that's saying, wait a second, do we really need all of these cases, all this money, all these platforms in all of the cases? So there are cases that are identified that are not necessarily biddable. It's the price is set way ahead of time, and then that's in one area that's
I
very
see.
ripe for disruption. There are, so that's part of Harmony Direct, the initial product we launch. We're launching, the second product we'll launch will be frequency management. It will be additional products, frequency management and reach extension, that basically are designed to solve real large issues for the industry. Frequency issue is the number one issue for CTV that you'll talk to, say, we keep seeing the same ad again and again and again.
Yeah.
It's money, somebody's, it's waste. It's money that it upsets
Yep.
the viewer, but more so the CFO and the market on the other side, they're spending money to upset somebody with the brand. That's something, so it's a lot of waste, a lot of waste.
Yeah.
So that is something that could be solved, but better connecting the industry. So there's a whole set of things you can make better, and that's where the name Harmony comes from. The
Okay.
concept of kind of rebalancing, saying, okay, the money moved from here, a lot of billions of dollars, all the ad tech in the world was dumped on the CTV inventory. I think there's a place to, again, rebalance for the sake of everybody, because we believe that once you rebalance the industry and you create a much better CTV experience, a better product for advertiser, better product for viewers, better ROI and measurement, the money from linear to CTV will flow much faster. There's enough money for everybody, right?
Yeah.
So that's how we see it.
Okay. Okay. I love it. As in, I think, as in having fewer open web display advertising people kind of retrofit what they're doing on display advertising onto CTV is something that hasn't worked and probably
Yeah,
has
look,
been
everybody wants to
successful.
be part of the party, right?
Yeah.
And you're saying, oh, well, there's fraud, there's viewability, there's engagement. So everybody's like, have CTV enabled product and CTV growth. Everybody wants to be part of this party. And people are used to buying stuff. I think, it's been a year or two, the more the industry matures and brands are asking questions about, especially because of this kind of economical environment, like, wait a
Yeah.
second, what is this really doing? And do I really need this? And it allows companies like Innovid to come and innovate and and show more efficient ways to do certain things.
Okay.
So it's a maturity thing. I think it's like CTV is in its teenage years of,
Okay.
it's maturing. It's not, not fully adult, but it's maturing, I think, in a healthy way.
Okay, okay, fantastic. We have last 5 minutes with Zvika. Quick reminder for people who may not have yet taken the poll. We have about 60% participation. So if remaining people can take the poll, that'd be awesome. Two quick things I wanted to ask you. One on applying AI to your internal kind of processes or whatnot. As in, are
Yes.
you using Copilot? Like not exactly Copilot, but are you, where do you see as a CEO of a tech company, um, productivity of existing kind of employees rise?
Yeah.
Is it sales marketing? Is it R&D? Are there kind of customer
So yeah,
service?
so sales and marketing, absolutely. I mean, there are really great tools out there, in terms of, all our sales calls are recorded and analyzed using AI. That's amazing efficiency in terms of seeing what's working, what's not working, what was said, what was not said, automatically. We're doing trend analysis. We're sitting on a massive amount of data,
Hmm.
because we serve so many ads for so many. So until recent, we're, I would say this is in terms of using, think about it as a BI trend in analyzer, to see what we're seeing, what we're learning. We believe one day, when we get to it, we'll have a lot of interesting insights. Because if you think about it, we see almost every household in the US, every device, every TV device. So the amount of data, who's watching what, not who is on a personal, but a household level. So we have massive amount of data. That's why, we also built a measurement business. But so that's another understanding that data set. And in terms of development, I would say it's sporadic. It's not like we systematize, how we're using AI to write code. That's more of an individual or team level.
Okay, okay. Last couple things I wanted to check on is just this entire kind of move towards more privacy on internet, move towards
Yes.
cookies going away, and move towards kind of more and more regulations cracking down on the bigger guys as such. I know there are a lot of intermingling topics there, but perhaps uh, when it comes to CTV and your business, are there specific things that you are monitoring, where when it comes to how privacy and measurement and is changing across internet advertising and how it affects your
I
business?
think, specifically again, CTV is a world by itself, thank God. I mean, we never had cookies. They're not in, they're not going away. We don't need to be frantic about Google pulling, it's at the same time. So that's cookies not relevant for CTV. Clearly, there's a need for an identity solution. Identity is a big deal. And it's clear that there's not going to be a single identity solution. There'll be different platforms offering different identity solution between, first-party data for CPG, and first-party data for a large publisher. Like imagine the data Netflix have or an NBC have on one side, and the data that a retailer has, or consumer electronic.
Hmm.
Uh, or a retail media network where they have, where they're actually buying. So there's all these sets of identity and a lot of rich data. So it's really, actually, I have to say, from my perspective, extremely positive, because it used to be Google or Facebook will have, and Amazon, all the data in the world, right? So you have cookies and this, and in terms of first party data, um, on users. And now you're going to be, I believe, most large brands and definitely publishers understand they cannot rely on Google to get their identity solution and put all their data in the hands of Google, because that's the only way they can get, access to identity resolution. So the fact they have different identity graphs and platforms that can use clean rooms in order to match identities, it's a whole new area that provides a lot of room for innovation. And even if there'll be some growing pain, I think it's much healthier for the industry to work this way rather than rely on one massive walled garden big tech. Uh, that eventually will, bite the industry in the behind. So I personally really like where identity is going
Okay, okay.
and privacy.
Fantastic. I know we are at time or actually a couple minutes over. So
Yeah.
I wanted to thank Zvika, but we won't let you go unless we play a very quick game. So all
Oh,
it's going to be 30 seconds max, Zvika. So
oh,
first
I'm
thing that comes
nervous.
to first thing that comes to mind, first three words or two words or one word that comes to mind uh, when I say something.
Oh, it's dangerous.
uh, recession.
Light.
Okay. Google.
I'm not sure I want to really answer that, but I would say a threat to humanity. How about
Oh my goodness. Okay.
I can list the whole companies, yes, but I'm concerned. I'm concerned.
Okay.
Yes.
AI.
Threat to humanity big time.
Oh my goodness.
And yes, AI, yes. Yes, the end of it all, I think, is AI. Yes.
TV channel streaming platforms.
Yeah, the more the merrier.
And I'll let you go easy. Innovid.
Good people.
Fantastic. Thanks for being a big sport, Zvika.
Yes,
I hope
absolutely.
people
Always.
learn a bit. It was fantastic seeing you again. And
Yes.
again, for people who are still online, we'll continue the conversation with similar kind of topics with the CEO of Pubmatic tomorrow. So again,
Lovely.
thank you,
Thank you so
Zvika,
much. Thanks for
and
the opportunity. Bye,
thank
Michael.
you so much. Bye bye.